let's take a look at this week's introductions for IELTS 9 Pro. For some reason, we only seem to have 4 this week on this topic. I don't quite know what the reason is for that. Also, before we get started, a bit of news. So, as you might have seen, Payman is offering 1 free complete essay correction and scoring per week for subscribers. And I'll be making that video immediately after this one. So, if you subscribe, your introductions will be assessed here, in the usual series, and your full essays or your name will go into the pool, and we'll take your full essay for that topic for that week for free assessment, correction, and scoring. What a bargain. I think so anyway. So, take a look at that. Keep an eye out for that. Now, let's get on with this. So, first, magic changes stick. So, I'll talk about my introduction first, and we'll take a look at yours. So, it's an opinion essay. The environmental problems that today's world is facing, or are facing, I don't know where this question's from, are so great that there is little ordinary people can do to improve the situation. So, a government and large organisations should be responsible for reducing the amount of damage being done to the environment. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So, tricky topic. Now, I don't usually advocate partially agreeing, but for this topic, if I were to write this essay, that's what I would do, because I think that these issues need both individuals and at the level of the state and suprastate in order to solve them. So I don't think it's simply the government and ordinary people cannot do anything. I think everybody, every organisation, international or supranational, above the level of a nation state, and the individual needs to work on these. So that's why I would partially agree. And I would probably do paragraph 2, I'd talk about what people can do. Paragraph 3, what organisations can do, and tie it in that way. So let's have a look at my paraphrasing at first, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I've changed it round a little bit. As I mentioned before, you can change the word order, move key information from the back to the front, vice versa. Change some of the key words. If you can't think of synonyms, change them into different forms of the same word. Problem, problematic, environment, environmental, etc. Improve, improving, improvements, all these kind of things. Because you can't always interchange every word for a synonym. And one of the biggest crimes that I see in writing is when people do this and they use inappropriate synonyms. And they try and change every single word. It changes the topic virtually beyond recognition, so that's not what we want here. So, it has been argued that today's global environmental problems, so you can see what I've done here, let me just highlight this. The environmental problems that today's world are facing, okay, so I've changed that around, are too great, are so great. Again, you don't have to change, some of you might be saying, oh, you haven't changed enough. Well, you don't have to change every single word, and you can't. For ordinary people to have any impact. So ordinary people, I kept that. I can't think of anything else that you could do. You can maybe change it to individuals, maybe, but ordinary people's fine. So improve the situation. I changed that to have any impact on them. Them referring to the problems, of course. And that the government and other large corporations, so I've changed organisation into corporations, need to be held to account. So held to account It's a good way of saying should be responsible for. If you are being held to account, it means you are being held responsible for something. Reducing the amount of damage to the environment becomes reducing environmental damage. Okay, so there we go. And then I partially agree, as in my view, all parties need to work together to solve these major issues of our times. And as I said, paragraph 2, I will be talking about individuals, what they can do, and why that, I'll be talking about why corporations, big groups are not sufficient. They can do it, but we also need help from the individual, and I will tie both those into the essay. So let's have a look and see what we have. So the green issues, well, it's not green issues, is it? An environmental problem is not a green issue, not as such. It's green to think about those, but it's not an actual green issue itself. The green issues are becoming a widespread problem, are extremely big, or are so big, or that big, huge, large, that a chance of the improvement of the situation is small. Right. Well, it doesn't say anything about individuals in that part. Now, you have to make sure that you include all the key aspects of a topic. And it specifically says ordinary people. So it doesn't just say they're so huge. It says ordinary people cannot do anything about it. So we have to get that in there. That's got to be in there for you to cover all aspects of the task. Where did I put that criteria? Again, I'll just show you quickly. You've probably seen this 100 times, or you should have done. Let me just get it up here. All parts of a prompt are appropriately addressed when the question is fully explored. Okay, so make sure that you get it all in. All right. It has been argued that it's responsible. That's pretty good phrasing. Yeah, argued that it is the responsibility of big organisations. Okay, you could have maybe paraphrased that a little bit more, as I did. Responsibility. You see how she's changed responsible to responsibility. That's good. To minimise the destruction of the environment, distribute it fairly. That's pretty good. Yeah. Now, the other thing that I would say here, obviously, in the rest of the essay, I hope you would mention the individual, but you need to get it in that introduction. Make sure, because that's a key component of a topic. Individual can't really do much, therefore, big organisations at the level of the state and above, they're the ones that can solve it. So that's good, but make sure that you get everything in. As it is said by whom. Don't have to say that. Just say, sorry. Oh dear, sorry. Sorry. Been a bit sick. So, what you need to do is say, according to some, as it has been said, as it has been argued. Now, we don't need an article. Today's world is faced with, right, so we need to move that adjective, serious environmental problems, that they must are found solutions for it. That's right, that solutions must be found for it. It, isn't it? Shouldn't it be them? Because it's more than one problem, because you said problems in plural. Yeah, I did say it. As it has been said, all right, or has been argued. Today's world is faced with serious environmental problems that solutions must be found for them. In my opinion, any persons and organisations and even governments, should to solution this problem is tring, and their experiences sharing. Okay, I think I kind of get what you're trying to say there, that everybody needs to be taking part, but the The way that the English has been used here, it makes this virtually nonsensical. Should to solution this problem. So should, well, change that to need. Need to solve this problem. Again, it's that convoluted. I'm not really sure what you're trying to say here. The examiner is not going to be doing as I am now. He's just going to read it and think, no idea what this guy is talking about, and it'll get marked accordingly. So this needs a bit of reworking. Some problems with word order, with word choice. I'm not really sure what that last part is supposed to be talking about. Today the environment is in the exposure of grave perils. What is this? Have you been chewing a thesaurus? Have you been eating a dictionary? The exposure of grave perils. What does that even mean? Now, I'm not trying to be overly harsh here, but that to a native reader is nonsensical. What is in the exposure of grave perils? So, today the environment is in danger or is in grave peril. So, today the environment is in grave peril. Okay, that's kind of better. Just concern a few normal people. Well, it's not normal. Ordinary is not the same as normal. Just concern a few normal people with attempting to improve circumstances. I kind of get what you mean, but it's very difficult to read. So, just concern a few normal people with attempting to improve circumstances. Again, the language there is not so good. I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say there. The burden of lowering the detriments. Again, have you been eating a dictionary? Because that's not natural at all. The burden of lowering the detriments. You mean of reducing the environmental impact or reducing the environmental damage. Should be borne by authorities and associations. Okay, now that is better, but it's not simply association. It's specifically large, as in multinationals. Those kind of things, not simply associations. I generally agree. Well, either agree or you don't. Don't say I agree in general. You can say I partially with the given assertion. However, both officials, because we don't need that article because we haven't referred to officials yet, both officials and people should carry proper shares of responsibility. Okay. I get the general idea, but you've got some collocations and phrases that just don't fit. They just don't really work, and the examiner is going to think this is very wordy, and that you're trying to paraphrase, and it's just not working. Just keep it simple. The burden of reducing environmental damage. That's better and easier to understand than lowering the detriments. Okay. So I won't say anything more there. Nowadays, the environment obviously faces difficulties about which the majority of people cannot apparently do any things. Nothing to do with efficient job or efficiency. They can't do anything about them. Okay. Difficulties about which majority of people cannot apparently do anything. Putting the main responsibility to you. Can you decrease an issue to reduce such... Again, I would go with, reduce environmental damage, because decrease such issues. What issues? You haven't said what the... you haven't mentioned what issues are. You specifically need to say... What's it saying? Let's go back. Environmental problems. You need to spell it out. Environmental, adjective, and problems. Right, so... Difficulties. Can the environment really face a difficulty? Because it's not a living entity. It can have some problems, issues, but not difficulties. Okay, putting the main responsibility which such issues on big associations may have, it gives a better chance to solve them. I would make that indefinite because you're introducing this idea for the first time. I agree in a statement because two principal keys, what you mean, principal arguments, ideas, which were supported below. Now, I have said before, you want to avoid these empty sentences because it doesn't say anything. Give some idea of what you intend to say, not because of two principal keys or principal ideas which will be supported. Simply tell us. Like here. However, it's both, okay? However, well, I'm not really sure. I think this means both. And this one means both. And mine, I say it is both. So you can see everybody else has said, you know, it's not just this, it's kind of both. But you just say, oh, there's some ideas which I will support below, which is okay, but it's a bit of an empty sentence. It doesn't really say anything. Okay, so I hope that helps. So we'll post another topic a bit later, and I'm going to be assessing the essay that was picked in the draw on Friday, and I'll do that in a bit, and you can take a look at that. So I'll see you later. Bye for now.